Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sports Marketing Talk. Today, we're going to get right into it. Zion Williamson will sign sneaker deal with whoever pays him the most, of course. And we're also going to talk about marketing strategies for athletes, how a website can help build your brand. So, let's get straight into it. So, this news is a little bit old. It's probably about a month old, but Zion Williamson, even before going into the draft, has declared that he is very popular right now in the NBA world, and he wants to sign a sneaker brand with large companies. The 6'7" power forward famously burst through his Nike sneaker in the first minute of the Duke UNC game in February. And if you don't remember, we talked about this. We actually talked about how brands are tarnished by this exact situation back about a month ago. Nike had made Zion new custom sneakers to play in, leading many to think Nike has the edge on signing him as the pro, since it nearly has built a relationship with the star. Or on the other hand, Adidas could shell out for Zion, or Pima, which jumped back into the NBA sponsorship deals last year, could pay, or even a Chinese sneaker brand like Li-Ning or Anta could land him. Matt Powell, sneaker analyst with the NPD group, said at the end of the day, the acquisition will come down to money. It always does, right? And that's it. My gut is that he's ultimately going to sign with whoever pays him the most money. It may be nice to think that endorsement decisions depend on least partial or our personal relationships or brand reputation, but Powell says these days it's purely a financial decision for athletes, and brand loyalty doesn't play into it. That's an interesting concept, and I think a lot of that is due to. Let's look at it from both sides. Let's look at it from both sides here. Zion is Williamson has he blew out a shoe. We've talked about this. We thought this was going to be a huge downside for Nike, but they tended to. We thought, how are they going to come back from this situation? But at the end of the day, it's actually going to do, like I said, I actually brought this up, that Nike could benefit from this by making a new custom shoe out of it. And now they're going to sign him. Yes, they're going to have to pay a lot more money to sign him, but they're taking it. I'm going to say they're taking advantage. I don't believe the brand reputation doesn't take a huge role into this. I think the player is just unaware of the stuff that I am particularly talking about right now, and a lot like anybody growing a business or growing a career at the very beginning stages doesn't understand branding, doesn't understand growing positive brand reputation, and Nike's still going to be a good deal, and Nike's going to probably treat him well if he goes that direction, whoever pays him the most. I don't see someone besides Nike and Adidas paying him more, but I think Nike's going to have to take the dip and pay him more money. But as an investment standpoint, I think that they look at it as they're going to be able to make more money from him in the long run as an investment because of the situation that happened with the shoe blowing out. This is definitely a funny circle of events from when we talked about it. A couple months back with the shoe blowing out. So with that said, we can kind of get into today's subject. And that's marketing strategies for athletes. And this could be something that Williamson or other athletes could look at and say, what's the best direction to go around this? For athletes, branding and marketing do go hand in hand. Branding is the key for establishing your identity and building that recognition we were talking about in the world of professional sports. But a brand that remains hidden has very little use. You have to get the message about your brand out there in order for it to be effective. Once people recognize your brand, they're more likely to invest in the goods or services you have to offer, which can be anything from purchasing products to sponsorship opportunities. Now, with the Williamson situation, we could look at that and we could say, all right, well, maybe Nike's going to pay me more money but maybe Adidas is going to offer him his own shoe deal or selling his own shoe. Adidas could come in and Adidas could say, hey, we're going to invest this amount of money for you in building your own online presence, your own online business, and sell your shoes on your own customized personal brand, pay him a little bit less money, let him build it as a business himself. Adidas makes more money because Adidas is leveraging what would be a competitor out there, or leveraging more online space, and Zion wins both ways because then he has something that's going to be reoccurring. I look at the Michael Jordan situation back in the day with his shoes, and now look at him. So that's why it's important as an athlete to have your own website. When it comes to marketing strategies for athletes, a website can be a very powerful tool. A website not only can help you create your brand, but can also increase awareness of your brand and your accomplishments as a player. So we leverage, like we've said in the past, we leverage your online presence and your brand power of what you're doing, and we utilize that as a funnel. Think about your website as the online version of yourself, your hub of information, your hub of products, your hub of everything that you want to. Don't let ESPN, don't let all of them be the first to talk about yourself and your accomplishments. You have that ability to do it yourself. Your own name is probably searched in Google more than half the keywords out there. So if your brand power, like I said, leverage that brand power. If you're doing it correctly, you'll be able to get leverage a lot more for a lot less money, if that makes sense. So to a website, let's use that as a branding tool. Despite common misconceptions, a brand is much more than a logo, which I've talked about in the past. A brand includes both tangible elements like a logo to intangible elements like a persona. A website is an easy way to create both tangible and intangible branding elements and share them with the world. There are many elements of a website that can be used as a branding tool included, but not limited to content, color scheme, design, and layout. Man, you could come out with your own, think about it in the forms of branding. You can come out with your own color, have a branding agency like ourselves come out with colors, fonts that mesh together very well. And I know you don't leave that to us, but you leverage that, and that's your image. That's not just your face. Think about it. Let's go into some of these a little bit more, and we'll kind of talk about them a little bit further. The content you put on your website or your social media platforms allows you to control how you interact with fans and how they interact with your brand. Blogs, videos, and imagery can all be used to craft your brand persona. They're also a great way to communicate with fans, potential sponsors, and buyers. So if you have your own website and you're selling your shoes, if Williamson was to be able to sell his shoes, for instance, on his own website, Adidas is going to pay him more money because now they have another outlet to sell his shoes. I have another website that competes with the big fish. They're competitors. Let's look at color scheme. Color scheme is an important part of brand since it affects our emotions in many ways. For example, the color red can trigger emotions of joy and love, or else white may be a reminder of purity and cleanliness. Using a color in different ways on your website can help you tap into the emotions of your audience and reach them in a personal level. The design and layout determine how your users interact with your website. They can also be a largely reflecting of your brand. If your website doesn't look good and the layout's horrible and your end user doesn't like it, then they're gonna be like, oh, he doesn't care about this stuff, you know? However, if your persona is more laid back and humorous, you may have more interactive features. For athletes, website design is probably a very crucial part of their branding process. Now, let's look how a website can increase that brand awareness. Once you have a website in place, including all the various branding elements, you can then use your site as a way to get the message about your brand out to the world. The more that people are aware and familiar with your brand, the more likely they are to invest in your products or you as a player. The key to having a successful website is generating traffic. Key, funnel, traffic. Traffic not only means larger brand awareness, it also means more leads and more sales. A few things that can increase your traffic of your website are, one, your print collateral. Placing your website URL on your business card, placing it on your social media platforms, things of that nature is a good way. And most athletes, I don't think up front really need that much print collateral. That would be more so once they're ready to build the business from their social media presence. Social media. Chances are, if you're an athlete, many members of your audience are active on social media. Linking your profiles and posts to your website can help increase that traffic. Content marketing, a huge one, underutilized. Content, I always say, is a key factor that determines where your website ranks on Google. The better the ranking, the more visits to your site, which is good for your brand. Not just going out and playing a good game is gonna bring it. It's gonna help a lot for you. Like I said, we're gonna leverage your brand power, but also being able to target other things like your shoes and keywords around what you're selling is gonna help as well, and that's gonna rank over time. So leverage the brand power you have while your other investments grow, like your search engine optimization, things of that nature. A good content marketing strategy like email blasts, blogging, and social media are also a great way to generate additional traffic. And then there's also additional strategies that you can use to increase that flow of traffic to your website. An athlete marketing agency can help you determine which strategies are best for you. A sports marketing agency will develop a specific marketing plan that caters to your needs as an athlete. So no cookie cutter here. You're unique. You're a unique player. You have unique traits. Just like when you're on the court or the field, you have these traits. Let's utilize those. There are truly many ways that you can increase awareness of your brand, but there are few tools that reach as many people as a website. And a website is also one of those most effective strategies as well. Having a website opens a whole new world of possibilities for you in creating funnels and doing a lot. So if there's anything I missed, if there's any other ways you think that you could leverage your brand, or if you're not an athlete and you have any other ideas, always feel free to write a comment below and we can talk about it. Other than that, remember to connect by expression, and you guys all have a good day.